Anybody not ready? All right, good afternoon. I'm Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri, and with me is representatives of the Clearwater and St. Petersburg Police Departments. We're here today to inform the public about a deadly drug swap that has resulted in as many as 10 deaths in Pinellas County this year. A drug that's known as Xanax, which is alprazolam, is used by physicians to treat anxiety and panic disorders. It affects the brain and nerves to produce a calming effect. It has legitimate medical use when prescribed by a doctor and obtained from a legitimate pharmacy. Xanax is also sold illegally on the street, and there is a demand for it by illegal drug users. It's not an expensive street drug by all accounts, and probably sells somewhere between $3 and $5 a pill. The supply and demand for Xanax on the street has stayed relatively consistent for the last few years. Fentanyl is another drug that is extremely potent, and this is a synthetic opioid. It's about 80 times more potent than morphine and about 50 times more potent than pure heroin. It has a rapid onset when it is consumed, but only lasts for a short period of time. Fentanyl, like Xanax, has legitimate medical uses. It is primarily used for pain and is specifically used in cancer patients. But because it is so potent, it's usually administered through a time-release patch or some other form, but it's not taken orally as a pill. Since January of this year, we have 3 confirmed and 6 strongly suspected deaths caused by people taking what they thought was street-purchased Xanax here in Pinellas County. However, these pills that were taken and swallowed were really a combination, which is rare, a combination of Xanax and fentanyl. We had another case this past Saturday night in Dunedin where a young 25-year-old woman died after taking a combination of fentanyl mixed with other drugs. The 9 death cases that have occurred generally are in the area from Largo south here in Pinellas County. Saturday night's case was the first one in the north part of the county. We've also had another 9 cases this year where law enforcement has made undercover drug purchases of what was purported to be Xanax, and the lab analysis has confirmed that it was a mixture of Xanax and fentanyl. So what you see here in the charts are the 9 cases that are either 100% confirmed or strongly suspected and just waiting final lab confirmation of actual people that have died from taking what they purchased on the street and thought was Xanax for $3 to $5 a pill, but it was actually fentanyl. And when they take it, because it's so strong, it's killing them. And again, the 9 that we have that are from undercover purchases. And but for the drugs in these 9 cases being sold to undercover law enforcement officers, who of course turned the drugs in as evidence, and the purchaser was not a true consumer of the drugs, there could easily be 9 more dead people in addition to the 9 that we have confirmed in Pinellas County. We're also seeing an uptick in fentanyl mixed with other drugs over the last 2 years, including heroin. In 2014, there were 14 cases of drugs that were mixed with fentanyl submitted to our lab, and in 2015, there were 71 cases. For the first 2 months of 2016, there have been 17, and if that pace continues, there'll be over 100 in 2016. We've also seen a new opioid on the street that the lab has only referred to as U47700, and that's a number the lab has given it because it doesn't have any other name that has been identified with it. And there have been 3 people that have died from overdoses in Pinellas County in 2015 and 16 as a result of that new opioid that's on the street. We know that some other parts of the country have seen deaths caused by fentanyl and Xanax mixed in these pills, particularly in Northern California. But this recent presence here in Pinellas County is of great concern. We are in the process of checking with other law enforcement agencies, but from what we can tell right now, that this is limited to Pinellas County within the state of Florida. I've checked with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and they've reported back to us that their labs throughout the entire state of Florida aren't seeing what we're seeing here in Pinellas County. So we don't know whether the source of this Xanax or fentanyl mixture is a local source, whether it's being manufactured here in Pinellas County or in the Tampa Bay area, or whether it's being manufactured elsewhere and imported into the area. But it does seem to be something that is unique here in Pinellas County. It's also somewhat puzzling why someone's creating a pill that contains Xanax and fentanyl, because Xanax is an inexpensive drug, it's not an opioid, where fentanyl is a potent opioid. Xanax sells, as I told you, from $3 to $5 on the street. So it's really illogical that someone is taking Xanax, relatively cheap non-opioid, mixing it with an opioid like fentanyl, pressing it into a pill, and selling it. What they were seeing out in California, and specifically the San Francisco area last fall, and there were several reported cases of this, is that they actually, on the fake Xanax pills that were Xanax and fentanyl, they actually stamped Xanax on the pill. So somebody went to the extent to represent it as being this Xanax when it was this fentanyl Xanax mixture. As you can see from the photographs we have here, and these are what's been recovered here locally, is that the fake Xanax here, if you will, or the Xanax mixed with the fentanyl, doesn't have Xanax on it. It's got a number that's stamped on the pill. So our message to people in Pinellas County is that you shouldn't, of course, take any drugs without medical necessity and only upon a doctor's prescription. But the reality is that people do take these drugs, and we are not going to stop drug abuse. So people who are buying these drugs on the street, they need to think twice about it, because what they are buying and swallowing today that they think is one thing is another, and it may well kill them. It's already killed 9 people here in the last 2 months. Ingesting fentanyl is lethal. You have no idea what you're taking. So people need to immediately stop buying Xanax on the street, because their life literally depends on it. There's no other way to put it. And we know that we're not going to stop people from abusing drugs. But the message to the community is that you better stop buying this Xanax on the street, because 9 people are dead. 9 more would have been, except for they're probably going to jail because they sold it to law enforcement, and they're better off in jail than they are across the parking lot at the morgue. But it's a big problem, and it is continuing. So we're going to continue our investigation and try and figure out where it's coming from, who might be manufacturing it, who might be putting it together, and again, why this seems to be right now here, it seems to be limited to Pinellas County. So, with that, we're happy to take any questions that you have.
Sheriff, you sound very